Hey up everyone, hope we're all doing well. Now if you don't know, there is a new MMA organisation on the block. Well, I say new, but everything about it is fucking old. I mean, if you've just sent your grandparents into a retirement home, just double check you haven't accidentally sent them to the GFL, because that very well could be the case. And just so you're aware, if you have sent your grandparents to the GFL, well then just be cautious that Jake Paul may be looking for a next opponent there. Now obviously I keep on slating the GFL for being a care home, a pensioner home, the Grandpa Fighting League, whatever it may be. So let's delve into the roster of the GFL. But just before we get into the roster, I have to let you know, it's not like a typical UFC roster. You have teams, so you've got 6 different teams, all with names due to like locations. You got the London team, you got the Dubai team, you know, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at each 6 teams. So first things first, we have Team London. There is some noticeable faces, so let's go through it. Tanner Boser, a failed whatever in the UFC in the heavyweight division. Okay. Stuart Austin, not heard of him. Alexander Gustafsson is like a big one here. He's also with Ilya Latifi. 2 Swedish men, light heavyweight. We haven't seen Gus since, I can't remember when, like 2021, I think, at heavyweight against maybe Doom or something like that. I can't remember. But Alex Gustafsson's back, one of the bigger names for the roster. We also have Gegard Mousasi, Benson Henderson, Brett Johns, Mike Grundy. And if you notice something, really, all of the big names are all old men. And that continues, because let's go through the rest. We have the Dubai team. So we've got Todd Duffy. We've got Luke Rockhold and Derek Brunson. Both guys are in their 40s, I believe. We have Tyron Woodley, another guy in his 40s. We've got Damir Ismagulov, who's actually really good in the UFC from what I remember. Which is, I'm kind of gutted to see him here, to be honest. I'd rather him back in the UFC. But regardless, he's here. Again, just kind of... the big names, marquee names are all old people. Yes, some other names that you may notice, may be familiar with because the UFC, not rejects, but we're no longer with the UFC. We then go on to the Miami team where you got Junior Dos Santos, who looks like... he doesn't look the best, I may admit. You got Robalis Despinay. Okay, now he's not super old, but he is still 36. But I'll let him get away with that considering he's in the heavyweight division. But he just got cut from the UFC for being that bad. So, make of that what you will. You got Thiago Santos, again, probably in his 40s. Felipe Lins, I swear he had a few fights in the UFC as well. Yoel Romero, who's about 50. Hector Lombard, who's about 50. Gleison Tibau, probably about 50 as well. Anthony Pettis, Jeremy Stevens, they're old. Marlon Moraes, oh, I didn't even know Marlon Moraes was here. No, Marlon, no. I love Marlon Moraes, and look at him now. Look at my boy. Fuck. Marlon Moraes is in the GFL, doesn't have a chin. Kat Zingano, Maria Agapova, who was like a cool prospect at one point. Oh, shock, Paige Van Zandt, who touches pretty much every MMA organisation. Then move on to the New York team roster. Again, you recognise a lot of these names. Chris Mabin just had the shortest retirement in MMA history. I will give him some slack. He did say he was only retiring for UFC competition, and he goes to the GFL. Philip Hawes, a guy with no chin. Dylan Danis, good luck getting him to fight. Kevin Lee, okay. Jimmy Rivera, that hurts me as well, because I actually really like Jimmy Rivera. I don't know how old he is, but maybe they'll do another Marlon Moraes versus Jimmy Rivera, the rematch. Holly Holm, she just left the UFC as well. That's Team New York for you. We then have Sao Paulo, Fabricio Werdum, Shogun, Douglas Lima, Alex Oliveira, the BTEC cowboy, Henan Barral, fucking hell, like, Rafael Assunção, what are we doing, man? It's just full of just old people, like, pull the back on a daily basis. What are we doing? And then to finish off, the LA team, Los Angeles, Frank Mir and Andre Arlovsky, you've been doing MMA since like the fucking dark ages. To be announced, we still need to find another person. Sage Northcutt and Tony Ferguson. Yep, Tony Ferguson's made the jump. Doesn't really surprise me. Chad Mendes. I really like Chad Mendes. but he is old. Even Uriah Faber, what the fuck? Ray Borg, Aspen Ladd, Leslie Smith, Uriah Hall. What? I thought that said Jeff Neal, then it says Grant Neal. Thank fuck Jeff Neal's not joining the GFL. I would have shit myself whilst recording. Holy shit. But those are the teams that we have when it comes to the GFL. As you can see, a lot of old people. Now, I know that everyone is struggling to contain their excitement after seeing that stacked up-and-coming young prospect roster for the GFL. But I don't think that the GFL is going to last that long. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Obviously, sarcasm. Obviously, it's not going to last long. It's fucking shit, the roster is. But regardless, it has been revealed by well-noted MMA journalist Alex Behenyon. Sorry if I've butchered your name, mate. Sorry. But someone on the heavyweight roster of the GFL is getting paid $1.4 million per fight. $1.4 million per fight for a heavyweight on the GFL roster. So why don't we go and have a look at the heavyweight roster? We've seen the entire roster, but let's just see who's maybe worthy of $1.4 million. Let's remember that most people in the UFC aren't making $1.4 million. You would have to be a superstar in order to make money like that in the UFC. So let's see which superstar is making it in the GFL. Now, I would love to use the actual GFL website, but I can't because for whatever reason, they removed the roster from their website, which is brilliant, great stuff. But regardless, we've got it here on Topology. So Junior Dos Santos, maybe like what, 15 years ago? Maybe, just maybe. So I doubt it's Junior Dos Santos, but maybe. Next up, Fabricio Werdum, maybe like 12 years ago. You know, like paying $1.4 million to either Junior Dos Santos or Fabricio Werdum in 2025 is ludicrous. Is going to be completely honest with you. Bruno Capilozzi, not really aware of who he is, but hasn't had a win since 2022. Brilliant. So I doubt he's making $1.4 million. Ali Iziev, a guy who's undefeated, 9-0 with 1 no contest or draw. So maybe, but we haven't seen him get a win since what? Is that a win, the blue, or was that his draw? I don't know, but regardless, we haven't seen him get a finish since 2019, 6 years ago. Rabalis Despigné just got released from the UFC not like, what, mid last year, so he's on a 2-fight losing skid. I know he's done a bit in karate combat. Really doubt it's him. Tanner Boser lost to Arlovsky in the UFC. Doubt it's him. Frank Mir, yeah, maybe if this was like, what, almost 20 years ago, fair enough. Arlovsky, again, maybe if this was like 20 years ago, and even then, probably not. Olianek, no. Alan Boucher, hasn't fought since 2013, and used to be a fucking middleweight, I'm pretty sure. Todd Duffy, the one who was a big prospect, hasn't won a fight since 2014. And Stuart He-Man Austin, the most active out of everyone else, but 18-8 and don't really know of him. So when you look at all of these, would you really see any of these being worth and valued at $1.4 million per fight? I don't entirely think so. So yeah, guys, I don't think that the GFL is going to last that long at all. For a new MMA organization to be spunking away $1.4 million on old talent per fight, it's not the best of financial decisions. I'm no financial guru, don't get me wrong, but $1.4 million on heavyweight fighters who are way past their prime, I don't think is the best idea. And do I think the GFL is going to last that long? Personally, no. I would be very surprised if the GFL is a thing after 2025. It'll push after 2026. If the GFL is still around after 2026, I mean, fair play in a sense. Maybe there will be, but just maybe just like building from the ground up after the fuckery what's going on here, because I don't see this going that well. And I've got to say that it's a lot of question marks around the GFL. I keep seeing loads of questions. There's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the GFL. People suggesting maybe it's just going to be AI fights. People don't know if it's actual fights. There's a whole lot of fuckery around the GFL at the moment. But yeah, the GFL have just had their draft this month, only a few days ago, and the fights will take place in April of this year. So it's very interesting to see what will go on. A lot of questions will be answered by the time April comes around and we see how the fights play out, how it all works out. Like I say, there's a lot of mystery and confusion with what's going on with the GFL. They haven't done a great job of explaining what the crack is. So I'm interested to see how the GFL plays out, but you guys let me know. How do you think the GFL will play out? Do you agree with me and think it will last that long? How long do you think the GFL will last? Do you think it'll be a rival to the UFC? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.